Okay, it's bad. Hey guys, so I saw Fantastic Four, or Fan-4-Stick as everyone else is calling it. Why did I watch it? Well, I have this kind of going thing with my friend. We go and see bad movies on purpose. And it was more curiosity for this movie. I really wanted to see if it was as bad as everyone said it was. And at least to say it pretty much is. But I'm going to go on a limb here and say it's not as bad as everyone says it is. Not in the sense saying that it's being ragged on too much. No, God, no. It deserves all the ragging it's getting. If you were to say it's 100% bad, in my opinion, it's like 92% bad. For me, I believe it's just a case of overassumption in what everyone else is saying. For instance, you guys have probably watched a movie that everyone praised up and down, just saying this is the perfect movie ever. And when you watched it, you were kind of like, well, it's not that good. It's good, but not that good. Same thing can happen with people saying negative things about movies. For instance, I tore apart Terminator Genesis, and there was a few people who saw it who thought it wasn't as bad as I said it was. So that can happen with reviews, and this definitely happened for me with Fantastic Four. A lot of people said the story doesn't make sense, that the story is very slow, it's very disjointed, and the big one being that the effects are bad. That I don't really agree on. Mind you, I didn't see this in 3D. This film completely dropped from 3D showings to regular showings in a week, which is insane because I don't even think After Earth did that bad that fast. So the fact that this movie is already in the shit pile at my big theater, that's incredible. But anyway, back to the effects. Ben Grimm as the Thing looked good in this. And so were some of the effects. Sure, the green lava looked a little weird, but really, I can understand why they changed it, because if it had been red, that would have been weird, being completely covered in red lava. And then Dr. Doom. Okay. Doesn't look that great, but he doesn't look awful. He gets fused to his suit when he goes into this dimension. That is the part I will say I like. Aside from how Sue Storm becomes the Invisible Woman, I like how they get their powers, because that scene is scary. Not only do we see Von Doom completely be eviscerated and melted by the green goo, we see these rocks just like completely come fumbling into Ben Grimm's one, like as though the rocks were attacking him, and then the flame comes in and Johnny Storm gets burned alive as he's in the station. And then when they come back and you just see Johnny Storm's corpse, or it looks like his corpse, is on fire, and Ben Grimm is trapped in the rock and he's asking Reed to help him. But back to Doom, he looks like what Cobra Commander did in the first G.I. Joe movie. Do any of you remember that, when Joseph Gordon-Levitt put on that weird silicone condom thing on his head? That's kind of what Dr. Doom looks like, because he has a visor embroidered into his face. So he kind of looks like this walking, talking walkie doll that has this plastic outline, and then his face is underneath. So yes, I can understand why people did not like his character, but I didn't think the effects on him were as bad as everyone says. But then going back to all the awful, this movie moves so slow. It's 2 hours long of completely bland, emotionless, and stupid acting. Kate Mara is awful in this. If there's anyone who can take the blandness award, she's terrible. Every single line that erupts from her mouth is completely emotionless. It has no flavor. It has nothing. The same can be said of Miles Teller. Holy crap, this guy was great in Whiplash. And what happens to him in this? He has no emotion. Every single line is delivered at this exact same level of lack of work, of lack of enthusiasm, of lack of caring. And then Ben Grimm. Jamie Bell, man, he's a fantastic actor too. This whole movie is a fantastic example of what can happen when good actors have bad direction. Now, there was all those rumors about what Josh Trank was like on the sets, and you know what? If the guy was weird, that's understandable why their performances are the way they are. But you would have thought that someone would have said, maybe we should reshoot that. It looks like they literally delivered their lines the first time in and never did it again. The acting was so lifeless, it's reflecting onto me right now. I have no emotion. I'm not tired. I just have this lack of anything after seeing this movie. And again, back to the story, there's that jump that everyone kept on going on about how they jump in a year in the future from the military. That actually made sense because I couldn't have imagined seeing any more of this movie because it doesn't, for 2 hours, we get so little of a story. So little. This movie has less fight scenes than Ghost Rider. That's an accomplishment. Not a good one, but an accomplishment in itself. But what is the most damning thing about this movie? It's not that it's bad, it's that there's so much wasted potential. The potential for this film is as wasted as the film's entire concept is. Because all these different ideas were actually a really cool idea. I liked the idea that these guys were young kids. I liked that they had a different ideology. I liked that Von Doom was a guy who was against the government. He was against authority, and in the end he became an authority of himself, so he became the very thing that he hated, which was a cool concept. But again, this movie just doesn't do any of it right. And then the love story. Apparently looking at someone for a certain period of time means you are affectionate for someone. And there's this love triangle. And they try to use that as a conflict between Reed and Von Doom. And you're like, oh, what'd you guys do? You looked at her. I looked at her longer. No, I did. I'm the one who deserves her heart. If you can imagine as you're watching this movie, you can see the idea that Josh Trank had. You can see the ideas that could have made this movie great. But it suffers from a giant Fox mentality of this entire movie is just a setup for several other movies, especially with the final 5 minutes. Oh, that part was dumb. Every single line delivered in this movie is awful. Every single concept is wasted. Every single thing. The only things that aren't as bad are the effects and the concept of ideas. And, well, the ideas of those concepts being cool in your head. So what is my rating for Fan 4 Stick? Well, I would give the one with Chris Evans that a 2 out of 7 if I ever saw it again. So unfortunately, I have to give this one a 1 out of 7. I actually feel bad that I'm giving it this low of a rating because there's so much wasted potential here. But it's boring. That's the biggest part about it, is that it's boring. And the whole end scene, you don't care. You want the movie to end just so you can go home. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. You've all heard it before from everyone else. So I pretty much just reiterated what everyone else has said. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd almost rather watch Terminator Genisys over this. That's how boring it was. Whoa. Buckle down.